Welcome back, Freelancers. I'm Field Rescue, and we're back in the Interceptor today. But we'll go over details of the build. Okay, so for this Interceptor build, we are going with like a weapons type build. The specific focus is going to be the ShardStorm. The ShardStorm it's a blade slinger, charges a circular projectile with dynamic force, launches experimental crystal projectiles across the immediate area. So I don't have max rolls for damage on this. However, I do have pretty good rolls on it as far as damage overall. So that's why I'm going with this one specifically. And then it's got a pretty big mag size. We'll go into detail why that's not necessarily a necessity for the build that I'm using. And then I've also got Divine Vengeance. I'm bringing that mostly just because I have additional global weapon damage on it, and then mag size as well. And we're using Blades of Wardening only because it's got, out of all of my melee weapons, it's got really good armor on it. It's got some good recharge, and then it's got some global damage as well. And then also, if I'm able to get all 5 stacks, it'll give me 50% damage resistance for 10 seconds, which will help me stay alive a little bit longer. And then something else I'm using as synergy for the ShardCeptor is Ruthless Stalker. So it's an upgraded searching glaive. Throwing glaive seeks out targets, and then it gives me a masterwork perk of Striker's Fury. Hitting an enemy increases weapon damage by 110% for 20 seconds. This one does a lot more damage, and it's got some global damage on it as well. However, if I had one that had a lot of charges, I'd probably run with that instead, because I'd be wanting to spam this out. However, it lasts for 20 seconds, so it should be giving me a pretty sizable buff for a little while. Plus, it's also a pretty defensive weapon, or offensive weapon, as it does a really good chunk of damage. And then I'm bringing Karif's, mostly just because of its Masterwork perk, which instantly restores 50% armor after defeating an enemy. They have to be under the effect of Karif's Talon to actually get that benefit, the 50 armor return. And then I've just got a bunch of charges on it, so that I can spam it if I'm getting into a really bad or tough situation. And then as my support, I'm using Slayer's Fury to reduce enemies' resistance, and it'll bounce around from enemy to enemy, and that's why I'm running one with a bunch of charges, so I can just keep spamming it all over the place to help decrease the resistance against all the enemies. And then with components, I'm running Elusive Talisman, which is going to be one of the key features for this build. It increases weapon damage by 25%, and then dashing 3 times refills the equipped weapons magazine. So basically, when I use Interceptor's dash, if I use all 3 dashes, I automatically refill the magazine for this weapon. And then on top of that, it has an inscription for 15 mag size, and it has acid, but that's just what I have on here. I really won't be using it for this build. Vengeance Matrix to increase all damage dealt by 50%. However, the trade-off is I'm going to take more damage by about 25%. And then on low armor, damage taken is reduced by 50% for 10 seconds. So it'll kind of keep me alive a little bit longer. And then I have the support recharge, which means I will be getting Slayer's Fury back more often. And then it's got acid, but like I said, I'm not really using that for this build. I'm only using Focused Freeze is just for the additional damage roll and armor. Typically, it would just freeze enemies on a 10 hit streak with an LMG, but I'm not using an LMG, so really I'm just going with the inscriptions. Way of Salvage, this is going to increase my magazine size by about 30% and then ammo drop rate by 50%. And then collecting ammo increases weapon damage by 40% for 10 seconds. So this one's going to be another key feature here, is that also, if you look at my scringes, I have a lot for resupply drop rate. So ammo should be dropping consistently, and because I have such a small amount, and because I'll be shooting out my shard very often, or be utilizing my weapons ammo, I should be picking these up pretty often, and then therefore that'll be adding an additional 40% for weapon damage on top of everything else I've already got going. So it has a lot of synergy with the build. Symbiotic Surge, which is just kind of a safe go-to component. It increases the Javelin's armor by a large amount, which as a squishy Interceptor, I'll need that. And then it increases all damage by 50%, including weapon damage, for 10 seconds when picking up a repair pack. So essentially, I'll be running out of ammo and be running out of health very often, so I should be picking up all of the health and ammo packs often, so I should be consistently getting damage buffs. And then it has global for weapon damage, and then it has ult as well, but that's just nice to have just in case I need to use my ult. And then Softening Blows, it increases the Javelin shield by a large amount, and then increases damage resistance by 75% for 5 seconds when shield runs out. And then it has an inscription of extra armor, and then it has a nice inscription of vault damage. So the way that I'm intending for this build to work is I'll be using my ShardStorm to do damage to the enemy types. And then after I shoot out one of the shards, I should be picking up more, or I'll be dashing to reload my clip, and then I'll be picking up more with way of salvage, because when they die, they will be dropping a lot of ammo packs, and I'll be picking those up, and they'll be increasing my weapon damage by a sizable amount. And then also, because I'll be taking damage a lot because I don't have a lot of budgeted resistance, I'll also be doing global damage as I'm picking up armor packs. So I should be hitting some pretty high numbers, even though I don't have an incredibly impressive roll for my Shard Storm. Okay, we're going to be doing a legendary mission. We're going to be in GM3, and then for Transparent, we're going to have an epic, rare, and uncommon blade slinger sigil. So that should give me about 60% extra damage. Alright, we're going to throw out Slayer's Fury and toss out Striker's Fury. And the good thing about this is it's got a high area of effect. So if you're shooting into a group of enemies, it should hit almost everything in the specific area of the animation. So you can even see it's like floating over them, but it's still actually hitting them. Refresh our Fury, and we got Softening Blows, so we got some resistance. And we should have Vengeance Matrix pretty soon, which will give us even more resistance. Ooh, hit me right in the face. Reload our clip. So the cool thing is about this, I can hit this enemy type and then go through and hit the other enemy type. And this is also a really good solution for if you're trying to deal with airborne hunters and you can't really ground them because their shield's still up, because this eats through shields immediately. There we go, we got 109 with Way of Salvage and Striker's Fury. So I'm going to go up here and start with this one, and what you're going to watch for is that I can hit this one with the Slinger Blades, and it actually hit the one on the platform right across from it. So it just barely didn't hit it. It should hit it this time though. Oh, we missed again. This might be close enough. Yeah, you could just see it, just hitting it. So it has a pretty good range with its area of effect. The only thing about it is it doesn't have weak point damage, so even though I'm actually going through its weak point on the back side of it, it's not actually affecting it. So you're not going to get that added bonus. And even though it doesn't do a lot of damage, oh, let me show you this. So I'll show you, I can hit this one, and I'll be able to hit the one behind it as well. So I hit that one, and you can see it hitting the one behind it as well. So it has a good range on it. So if you really want to consider it in this way, is it's actually doing so much damage, even though the value isn't that high, because it's hitting multiple targets over and over and over. And then this is like the actual benefit of it, is it can go through. And I took them out without taking any damage from them. Alright, let's see how it does against these storms. Refresh Striker's Fury and Slayer's Fury. Yeah, it's just eating through them. If I can pick up some ammo and get Wave Salvage and keep up my Striker's Fury and Slayer's Fury, I'm gonna get, yep, just like that, 104 to almost 112 damage. Nice. And then Softening Blows and Vengeance Matrix will keep me alive. Oh, he dipped down right before I let go. But yeah, it's just eating through these storms. Not even at max value. I think we just have a ranger left. There he is. Yeah, you can just see their health bar just dwindling down. Alright, nice. Ursix. Shrekker's Fury. Slayer's Fury. See what we get. Okay, so they're around 87,000. Not too bad. They're still resistant. Same with the Rangers. They're pretty resistant as well, so you're not going to get the full effect easily on them. Well, you just want to keep spamming Striker's Fury and Slayer's Fury over and over and over. And then intrinsically you'll get Softening Blows, Symbiotic Charge, and hopefully Way of Salvage, which will just keep stacking all that damage over and over and over. And eventually if you get weak enough, you'll get Vengeance Matrix, which will also add a lot of damage. So I'm going to queue up for Stronghold Quick Play, GM3, and for Transparency I'm putting on Epic, Rare, and Uncommon Blade Slinger Sigils, so I should be getting about 60% extra damage. So the good thing about Tyrant Mine is it's got a lot of choke points, which make this weapon very viable. So basically I can just keep shooting it down here, pop in my Striker's Fury, and then my Slayer's Fury, and they'll just have no choice but to walk into it. Alright, let's see how this does in here. Alright, so Striker's Fury, Slayer's Fury, and then we just throw one of the Slinger Blades out, and it's got really good area of effect damage. And then I just got to keep shooting through here trying to pick up the ammo packs. Nice, I got Softening Blows and Symbiotic Charge, so I should be doing really good damage right now. It's a little hectic trying to jump around constantly and dash to refill your clip, and also keep an eye on the damage you're doing. Alright, round 2. Uh, 70,000. Not great, but it's actually pretty good. Especially because it's area effect, so it's happening to all the enemies in that general area, and it's doing several ticks at a time per slinger or per blade. Try and pick up some ammo while we recharge. Get Striker's Fury back. So here's another really good choke point. We'll go ahead and toss that out to get Striker's Fury really quick. So as they're trying to come up, this you can just toss them down, and because it can go through objects, you don't have to worry about hitting the ramp. So you can just shoot straight down through the ramp, and it's going to hit enemies along the ramp and even potentially under the ramp. The only issue about being up here is I'm not going to be able to grab ammo very often, so the biggest issue I'm going to have is having to go down to get ammo. Okay, nice. About 116,000 is what I was seeing as my best number on them. Oop, almost fell off. But yeah, I can just keep doing this over and over and over. Oh. Got locked in like a animation. But now I've got Softening Blows, so I'm getting a bunch more damage out of this too. And now I've got Vengeance Matrix. There we go. So 109,000. So my plan is, as soon as Tyrant Queen kind of gets down there where you can actually hurt them, what I'm going to do is kind of put myself in front of them so I can immediately activate Vengeance Matrix and Softening Blows and Symbiotic Charge to see if I can just stack all that damage right away. And I should survive. So she should spit a web out at me right away. Yep, she got me. Okay, yeah, now I got Softening Blows, Vintage Matrix, Striker's Fury. Oh, wrong weapon. There you go, it was 116,000. And it had like 3 or 4 hits from it. Luckily we got a Ranger with us that's got a lot of good damage. Oh, and the other Interceptor is doing a lot of damage too. Let's see if we can kill... Yep, so it's doing like 4 to 5 ticks of 116 damage. Not bad.
It's dead. The scars will no longer be able to make acidic weapons.
And I didn't get eaten alive.
Okay, so the ShardStorm build for the Interceptor, it's a pretty good build. It's got a lot of value. It does a lot of really good damage in all types of GM3 missions and GM3 strongholds and whatever. I think it works really well for the Interceptors specifically because the Interceptor has a component that allows them to dash around and reload automatically, so you don't have to worry about reloading it, which cuts down a lot of the animation time. But as long as you're utilizing Striker's Fury to get that 110% damage, and then if you're able to pick up ammo packs with Way of Salvage, which gets you another 40% damage, and then pick up health packs with Symbiotic Charge, which is another 50%, it's like over 200% added damage. And then plus with Slayer's Fury, reducing their resistance actually gives you all that much more value. Because we were seeing the base numbers of like, before all that added damage was like 58,000 to 65,000 damage per hit. And then like max values we're seeing with all of our stacks or all of our additional bonuses was like 98,000 to 112,000 damage per hit. And then we also had Softening Blows, which reduces damage once our shield drops, and Vengeance Matrix was when we get weakened so much by 50%, so we would have like 125% of damage resistance for approximately 5 seconds, which is pretty valuable. So it's a pretty solid build, works out really well. It's got a lot of synergy, and I have a lot of fun with it. I wish I had a little bit better damage rolls on my ShardStorm itself, because I think I could have hit over 150k if at possible. So that's pretty much the build. I think I'm going to end the video here. It was an engaging build and it was a challenging build, and I had a lot of fun with it, but I don't really think there's too much else to say about it. So anyways, hope to see you guys out in Bastion.